everyone, it's Gabrielle, and when I did my mock exams, I found that they were more stressful than the actual Leaving Cert exams. So here's everything I wish I would have known before the mocks and during the mocks. Let's get into it. So, what do you need to know before the mock exams? So the most popular question we get about the mocks is actually, how do I decide on what to study? How do I know what I need to know for the mock exams? Or something like, I have no idea where to start. It's okay, I gotcha. Here's how I chose what I was going to study before my exams. So the first thing you need to do is actually find a topic list for the subject you want to study. What I mean by a topic list is basically just all of the topics that can come up in that subject, just in a plain list. And if you're struggling with finding some of these, then we have loads available on Studyclix for free. So once you've found this list of topics, what you need to do is go through each topic and see how many times questions in that topic come up. Basically, how common are questions in that topic. By doing this, you'll be able to see what questions are likely to come up in your exam and what questions are not likely to come up. So basically, if you see a topic come up every single year in a particular subject, then it is really worth your time to study that topic very well, but it's like not worth your time to go through a topic in heavy detail when it has only come up like twice in the last 10 years, right? So this is how I decided on what topics I was going to study and what topics I would leave for after the mocks. But if you want to be even more specific, what you could do is break down this list of topics that come up very often into sort of traffic light colors. What I mean by this is underline in red all of the topics that you have no clue about, that you're really struggling with, that you really need to study. And then underline in orange all the topics that you kind of know but you still need to go over, and then underline in green all of the topics that you're super comfortable with, that you had no problem answering if those topics come up on your exam. So then what you should do is focus 50% of your time on the topics that you really struggle with, spend 30% of your time on the topics that are in orange, which means that you kind of know but you still need to go over, and then 20% of your time in the topics in green. There are just so many creative methods that you can use to decide on what you want to study. You don't have to use this particular method, you can do whatever works for you. For example, Aisling Walsh made this amazing document of all the topics that she wanted to study before the mocks, and you know what, this is a really great idea if you love to have little checklists and tick stuff off. Just do whatever works for you. But I think more than anything, the most important thing that you'll learn from doing the mocks is actually how to not waste your time. So the most important thing here is just to be clever with the way you use your time. Don't be wasting your time on topics that will probably not come up on your exam. And moving on from that, I think that passive study methods kind of are a waste of your time right now before the mocks. When I say passive study methods, I mean just transcribing your notes or reading your textbook. That isn't going to help to make the information stick into your head. However, what is going to help you remember a ton of information really quickly is actually using active study methods, and the best active study method is testing yourself. Basically, do as many past exam paper questions as possible. This is probably the best way that you can prepare for the mocks, because if you do past exam paper questions, you're not going to have too many surprises come up on your exam. And so before the mocks, I have one last thing to say, and you're not going to like hearing it. If you have a good friend in another school that just so happened to do their mocks a little bit earlier than you, I would seriously not recommend asking them what came up on their exams. I know I personally did not follow this advice, and honestly, I really should have. I was told this before I did my mock exams, and I did not follow this piece of advice. I did ask my friends oh, what came up on your exam? Do you have any hints? And honestly, do not do this. It is not worth your time. The whole point of the mocks is actually to make mistakes, to test yourself on how you react in an exam situation, to see what mistakes you're making, so that hopefully you can learn from this experience and not make the same mistakes in the actual exam. If you go into an exam knowing exactly what's going to come up on the paper, that is just a waste of time for you, because obviously you're only going to study those topics and you're not going to be sure whether you'll be able to answer just random questions that'll come up on the day of your exam. In my personal case, before I did my English mock paper, I was told that theme and issue will definitely come up. So I only studied theme and issue, and I did really well in my mocks, But when it came to the actual exam, I thought I was gonna get lucky, and I thought that like theme and issue will come up, and guess what? It didn't. It was general vision and viewpoint and like the other one that I don't remember. Because I had a really good theme and issue question and I didn't have like a good question in the other two sort of categories, then you know, it didn't do me any favors. But if I didn't know the theme and issue was going to come up in the mocks, then I would have studied something else as well, and that would have helped me for my leaving cert. Trust me, this will not help you in the long run. The best thing that you can do is go into your mocks without knowing anything. Well, like, know the stuff that you studied, but don't know exactly what's going to come up on the exams. So I know this sounds annoying, I know you want to know exactly what will come up on your exams, but try to avoid getting information about them from your friends or from online or wherever. And so here are 3 things you should know during your mock exams. First and foremost, you should absolutely not be going into any exam for the mocks without knowing exactly how much time you need to spend on each question. Timing is super important for both the junior cycle and the leaving cert exams. Time management is just so important because you can run out of time in your exam and that will mean you'll lose a bunch of marks for no reason. You can't be spending too much time on one question because then it means that there are tons more that you won't be able to attempt. With regard to marks, I think it's so much better to have an attempt for every single question rather than fully finish half of the questions and still have half of them left to do as the time runs out. So before your mock exams, if you don't know how much time you need to be spending on each question, then do ask your teacher about it right now. And if you're worried about not being able to remember how much time you need to spend in each section of your paper, then what you can do is actually like write down the timings as soon as you open your exam paper. Like there is like, it's okay to do that if it helps you to remember how much time you need to spend on each question. I'd also really recommend having your own watch in the exam hall because although like most exam halls will have a massive like clock at the very top of the room, you don't be wasting like a couple of seconds every like few minutes looking up to see how much time you have left. Having your own wristwatch will be so much better than that, trust me. The second thing you should know during your mock exams is that it's not a good idea to pull all-nighters. I know it is really tempting because that was also what was tempting me when I did my mocks, but trust me when I say you're so much better off going into the exam well rested, feeling good, and not being completely sleep deprived and just basically a zombie. Besides, you're not going to learn too much anyways if you're just crabbing the night before the exam. I mean, even if you do learn off a couple of things, you're not guaranteed to remember those things when you actually like are sitting to do your mocks. It sounds like a really cliche thing, and you can pretty much like say you can get better at anything by doing it with a good night's sleep, but this is especially important for the mocks. And the last thing you should be doing during your mocks is actually paying attention to the things you're doing well and the things you need to improve upon before your exams. What I mean by this is that, for example, if you are procrastinating a lot for your mock exams, you do not want to be doing that for your actual exams. For example, if you're meant to be studying but you find yourself scrolling through TikTok instead, then maybe a good idea for your actual exams would be to just uninstall all of your social media apps to make sure that you're studying and you're doing your best possible efforts to do really well with the exams. Or alternatively, if you find that you're feeling super stressed out right now for the mocks, but going for a walk with your dog like really helps you out, then knowing this will really help you for your leaving cert or your junior cycle exams, because then you'll be able to think, okay, I'm super stressed out, the exams are coming up, oh, I can go for a walk and I'll be fine. You know, being really reflective of like how you react to these exams will make doing your actual proper exams a lot easier in June. If you'd like a video on what you should do after the mock exams, be sure to leave a like so that I know I should make that, and also subscribe for more videos like this. I hope this helps and best of luck with the study.